Hi everyone, welcome back. So let's start with our today's Aeon topic, which is fighting Kung Fu. This topic is about from chalk-free film to disco earworms. Asian caricatures have proliferated since 1970s. Can Hollywood kick the habits? So let's see what this passage holds. First passage of this essay hold for us. What is this and who I am? It's not ordinary a question that crosses my mind when I am ensnared in the earthly and freaky delight of Latin American wedding period. But as the DJ spun the last bars of a Bad Bunny single into the uncannily familiar nine-note Oriental riff, I froze. I turned to my partner. Is this is a microaggression? I could ask the same thing about the song that followed Kung Fu's Fighting 1970. There was a funky Chinaman from funky Chinatown. They were chopping them up. They were chopping them down in an ancient Chinese art, and everybody knew their part, from a feint into a slip and a kicking from the hip. So this passage is talking about introduction is about Kung Fu fighting, author experience with or author memories with Kung Fu fighting. The title of this topic is Author's Memories with Kung Fu. There is no as such point we can take it from here. Just we summarize that the author remembered Kung Fu by there is a fighting song or there is a song in Kung Fu fighting which shows that how they are chopping any means. They have art of not a chopping it with knives but with their hands, with their moves to anyone. So let's moving toward the next species. And even here it is given their song as well, what the original song they are talking about. I probably hadn't heard the disco earworm since I watched a bottled DVD of the animated film Kung Fu Panda, which is in 2008, which is published in 2008, shortly after its release. The DreamWorks movie, which follows the life of a bumbling panda seeking to prove his worth as the unlikely dragon warrior, featured a cover of Kung Fu Fighting by CeeLo Green and Jack Black, both non-Asian performers. So here author is describing about she just watched Kung Fu Panda, but she had no as such she not watched as such movie relating to the Kung Fu fighting, but the whole fighting was mentioned in the Kung Fu fighting song, which is by the CeeLo Green and Jack Black, who are the non-Asian performers actually. So let's see what the next passage is saying. In ever passage, there is no as such a title needed. I think it's this passage is also continuation of the second one. So let's continue this. Then we figure out what we can do with this passage. The song was originally written and performed by the Carl Douglas, a black artist, in his music video. Clad is a silky red approximation of a karate gi. He chops and slices at the air with his elbows locking at 90-degree angle. From a dimly lit stage, he sings to an Asia crowd. Every audience member there is a what. So basically, the second passage is about the description of how this what happens in that song. It shows that the person has chopped everything with with the help of his elbow, which is locked at 90 degree, not freely. The elbow is not moving so freely. It's in position of 90 degree, and it was done by the black artist in the front of white verse peoples, not in their own native area. So it's just a summary of which I described earlier. We can't take anything else from here. So let's moving toward the next passage. When DreamWorks produced Kung Fu Panda, the movie needed a tuneful theme song. And why reinvent the wheel? DreamWorks also produced a music video when green and black with the asymmetrical neckline of their Mandarin scholar tunics safely secured with knotted frog button, mixed breakdancing with inspirational messaging that deviated from the original song, although the future is a little bit frightening. It's the book of your life that you are writing. At the end of the video, when the students of Kung Fu Panda Academy of Awesomeness kowtow to their Sifu, which means master, out of respect, Green turns the bow, pressing his palm together respectfully. So it's a description about what the Kung Fu Panda message holds, and after that, the reaction of Kung Fu Panda academic students or pupils to their master. Even the green also show his respect to their masters. So this passage is also for the just summary, which say that after what we can say that the passage says that the message given by the Kung Fu Panda, which is so inspirational to anyone, and with that respect, after the movie end, the Kung Fu Panda academic students or people show their respect to their master. Even a green also showed his respect to their master. So that's it. So let's moving toward the next one. How and why do Americans embrace Asianness? Douglas' orientalizing version of American performance. The version I know bursted straightly through the doors of discotheque and the movie theatre, and it's prevailed to this day. On the other hand, the 1970s was part of a new era of East Asian exploration. New waves of emigrants setting up their lives for the second time changed the United States culture landscape for good. While students activists at San Francisco State University included Asian American in the diversity movement that was opening up in much of academia nationwide. The same era introduced a legacy of East Asian appropriation reflected in Kung Fu Panda that has never disappeared. So this passage is saying about how American embrace Asianness. So the title of this passage is How American Embrace Asianness. So what we can take from here, what the events we can take from here is first, here you can take this. Oh, sorry. That the waves of immigrants setting up their lives for the second time changed the United States cultural landscape for the good. And the Asian American in the diversity movement that was opening up is much of academia nationwide. So that's all we can take from this passage, and let's moving toward the next one. In the geopolitical theater of the late 1960s and early 70s, both Asians and Americans were dealing with the immediate after effect of an internecine capitalistic struggle against a communist barrier. US-led conflict in Korea and Vietnam directly influenced generations of the people living in and between Asia and the US. Often of the wars, US soldiers dehumanized the Asian enemy, painting them as a communist vermin that needed eradicating. So, here this passage says about the event where the conflict between US and the Asian countries, some of the Asian countries, where the US soldiers are dehumanized the Asian peoples as an enemy and painted them as a communist vermin. So the title, not the title, just here we can say that how US lead a conflict in some of the Asian countries, which influence the generation of the people living in and between Asia and US, and how they dehumanize the Asian enemy and painting them as a communist vermin. That's all for this passage. Let's moving toward the next one. During and after the Vietnam War, Hollywood blockbuster gleefully fanned the racist flame. The brown and yellow enemy was flattened hopelessly into a stereotype of super soldier resilience in films like The Green Berets (1968) and The Apocalypse Now (1979). In the films, hordes of Southeast Asian drones who could make a weapon out of nothing and terrorists out of nobody employed dirty guerrilla warfare to decimate the good guy. They were agile and especially skilled in close combat, fighting hand to hand without fear or remorse. The caricature is far from what I know of East and Southeast Asia, a place that feels like mine from the another life. Yes, there are the hordes of people, but rather than faceless bad guys, they are the most part now composed of Instagrammers and motorcyclists. Word this caricature means to represent any reality known to Asian people? Can I recognize myself or anyone I know? So this passage is talking about the scenario after the US and Vietnam War, and how the people of South or Asian, how the Asian people were, and description about the Asian peoples. So this passage, the title of this passage is After Result of Vietnam and US War and description about the Asian people. So we can take from this whole passage that firstly, that after the Vietnam War, the Hollywood was fanned the racist flame with the different movies that we can say. And here this whole passage is about the description, how the movie shows the what kind of Asian peoples are, how the Asian peoples are. So it tells that the Asian peoples are make the weapons out of nothing and terrorists out of nobody, employ dirty guerrilla warfare to decimate the good guy, and fighting hand to hand without a fear or remorse, which we can take. Faceless bad guy, they are of the most part from composed. Oh, this is not we can take. Oh, we can take it. Composed of Instagrammer and motorcyclist. So here's the end of the 4 series of lessons. Let's moving toward the second series. Let's see what this series holds. He brised east and west with the pure athleticism and on-screen charisma, not diplomats in a state dinner. So let's see the 4 spaces of this series. Around the same time, another sort of trans-specific exchange was occurring, bringing another version of Kung Fu to US audience. Legends has it then an impoverished Cantonese grandmaster opened a Kung Fu school after fleeing mainland China in an effort to finance his opium addiction. In 1953, I.P. Men, as he was known, reluctantly accepted a new student in his Hong Kong school, which focused on a style of Kung Fu called Wing Chun. The student, Li Junfan, had been born in San Francisco but moved to Hong Kong as a child. He was a quick study, though his short temper made him prone to starting street fighting and engaging in physical conflict to the point of complaint to the police. Fed up, his parents sent him to the leave with an elder sister on the US West Coast, where he began to open a martial arts schools and become a teacher himself. In Anglophone context, he went by the name of Bruce Lee. So this whole passage is the description of Bruce Lee, the introduction of Bruce Lee, who the Bruce Lee is. So everyone knows that everyone is a fan of a Bruce Lee. He's a legend, no doubt. So let's see what this passage holds. The first we can take is he's prone to starting a street fighting and engaging in physical conflict to the point of complaint of police. And because of this nature, his parents sent him to his sister in US coast, and yeah, and where he started his school and known as a Bruce Lee. So this is summarized. You cannot take any point here, but just a summary. Just know about what this passage is saying and who the Bruce Lee is. So let's moving toward the next passage. Given his father's fame as a Chinese opera singer, Bruce Lee was exposed to celebrity at a young age. But he did not encounter much luck in Hollywood at first. After several frustrating and racist snaps, he followed the advice of a producer to return to Hong Kong and pitch a kung fu movie there. Raymond Shaw, a former Shaw Brothers executive, welcomed Lee gladly, midwifing 2 successful movies in quick succession: The Big Boss 1971 and The Fist of Fury 1972. Though these films Lee brought wuxia, Chinese martial art fiction, to Western screen, just as Lee was becoming a legendary name in US households. He died day before the release of his magnum opus Enter the Dragon 1993. So this is a description about how Bruce Lee became famous. He said that earlier he couldn't do well in Hollywood, so one of the producers suggested him to go to the Hong Kong again, back again, where he approached the directors about he approached not he's just pitching different various direction about the kung fu movie. So one of the director gladly accept him, and there is a two successful movie by him, which is a Big Boss, The Big Boss, and The Feast of Worry. But uh, before the release of his third movie, which is Into the Dragon, he was unfortunately died. So let's moving toward the next pieces. Into the Dragon crystallized the peak of Hong Kong's kung fu cinema. Lee had successfully bridged East and West, but he would done it with a pure athleticism and on-screen charisma, instead of diplomats and state dinner. People with a few bucks flocked to the movie theater to watch Lee's film and those of diasporic copycats. Variety matching, called the spin-off genre chopsuki, a punny neologism that praised Lee's gem-stein aura, but disparaged the nature of the badly dubbed Chinese lens pics that would go the way to those sleazy porno loop that wants to do business simply because they were there. So this passage is just talking about that how the people are very excited about his third movie Into the Dragon, but on the other side there is a copycat so is they are just like to copycat the things and like it means Chinese peoples. Said so that kind of a scenario here is because of the business purpose they're trying to copycat that movie. So let's moving toward the next pieces. Whatever the producer initial intention, the biggest audience for Chopsuki movie were young and black. Film like Belt Jones 1974 and The Last Dragon 1985 exemplify the genre crossover of Chopsuki and blaxploitation. A, a cinematic genre that centered a black protagonist but also caricatured them. Blaxploitation's movie also peaked in 1970s, inspiring breakdancing and parkour movement that drew inspiration from East Asian martial arts. This high-skill pursuit openly cite Lee as a culture catalyst. So this passage is saying basically that how the Black Belt Jones and the Last Dragon shows the culture from which came from the Eastern Asian martial arts, not the culture, the arts, which is breakdancing and parkour movement, which also shows that how the Lee as a cultural catalyst. So this is a summary. We can't just give the title with the summary which I just giving you earlier that we can take just from here is. So let's moving to the next pieces. As much as Asian American Kung Fu assured many people in, the genre also openly shut others out. Principal among the excluded communities were Asian and Asian American women. Perhaps due to the traditionally masculine nature of the Kung Fu, the director cast overwhelming more male actors as lead. When women did appear, they were flattened into stereotype. A nameless sex workers, victim of sexual violence, or damsels in distress, or they bent gender as men, like Cheng Pee in the wuxia film Come Drink With Me 1966. Good old-fashioned machismo pervaded kung fu film sets and writer rooms. In addition to the male-centered storyline, the Asian actors themselves believe a woman could not perform at the same standard. It is a tale older than a wuxia storyline. So this passage is basically telling that the women are not up to the stand of the males in this action movies or in this kung fu films, this martial arts movies. So what the people believe on women, no, just we can just title this places as people that women are not capable for standard of not stand to the standard of action movies. This is the title, and what we can take from here is that woman appearance as a flattened into stereotypes such as nameless sex workers, victim of sexual violence, or damsels in distress. It's a belief that a woman could not perform at the same standard as it's a tale older than a books and storyline. No, just this much we can take. Let's moving toward the next pieces. American did not stop at film when it comes to consuming East Asianness. After decades of conflicts, diasporas of real Asian women had become exploitable commodities. Both yellow peril, the belief that Asian emigration poses an existential threat to Western culture, and yellow fever, the sexual fetishization of the East Asian women ran high. The former, a long-standing cultural attitude held over from 19th century, lead to explicitly racist scapegoating and cast Asian American are invading pests. The latter, often discussed as dating, preference or type, combine element of yellow peril with a good old-fashioned hatred of women. Hypersexualism, fetishized and dehumanized. Asian women continue to suffer at the intersection of racism and misogyny. My own life is punctured by the events that have intentionally fractured the myriad piece of my identity. Like many Asian women who have come before me, whose faces in the stories have yet to show up in the movie theaters. So this whole passage is describing about the condition of the Asian women. So the title of this passage is The Condition of the Asian Women. So the real Asian women, the American believes that the real Asian women had become an exploitable community. The sexual fetishizations of the Asian women ran high. And the latter often discussed as dating preference. The type combined element of yellow peril with a cold old-fashioned hatred of women. Suffer at the interaction of races and misogyny. That's all for this passage. Let's we stop our video here. We will continue rest from we will continue tomorrow. As of now, have a great day. See you guys tomorrow.